Let me encourage you, when the show's over, to go and read Jesus' parable of the Prodigal Son. You'll find it in the Gospel of Luke, the 15th chapter, verses 11 through 32. But let me give you a warning beforehand. The warning is that there's a problem with the parable. Well, actually, it's not with the parable, it's with us, at least most of us. And the problem is, it's too familiar to us. We know this. And so the moment that we begin to read it, many of us will begin to tune out or become inattentive, thinking, I know this. I know what happens next. Nothing new in this for me. And so we have to be attentive. We have to pray before we read this. We have to ask God, what do you want to say to me right now? And if we do that, he'll talk, always. Why is that the case? Because the parable of the prodigal son is not a story, it's revelation. It's God's communication to us, to you, by name. You're not watching this right now so much because you've found it, but because God is trying to find you. He's trying to say something to you. He's trying to reveal something to you. He's trying to give you hope. So what's being revealed? Well, I think it's this, that God, the maker of everything that is, seen and unseen, the one who made all the billions of stars in the universe, the one who before, right now, in heaven, angels are bowing in awe, this God who needs nothing, is not lonely or lacking in anything, is passionately in love with you, just with you, by name. The parable really isn't about the younger son, and it's really not about the older son. The parable is really about the Father. Jesus is trying to teach us about his Father. He's trying to teach us that our Father in heaven does not delight in the death of the wicked, even though some of us might. He's trying to teach us that the compassion and the forgiveness and the mercy of God is so far beyond anything we can conceive. He's trying to teach us that his love for every single human being is beyond anything any of us could ever hope for or imagine. He's trying to teach us that no matter how badly or how often we've blown it, we can come home. We can always come home. Jesus says an amazing thing in the parable. He says that when the father was watching for his son and his son was still a long way off, that the fathers caught sight of him and ran to him. That's an amazing line. He ran to him. Why is that amazing? Because Middle Eastern men don't run. Children run. Slaves run. Poor people run. Men don't run. Not free men. Not wealthy men. Not in the Middle East. Not at the time of Jesus. This father, Jesus says, ran. Our Father runs for us. He lowers himself for us. He will do anything and everything to bring us home again. Why? Because love does things like that. Love goes to extremes, and that's our Father in heaven. Perhaps some of us have sinned gravely. Well, take a look at the younger son. The younger son says to his father, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." That's the equivalent of saying, "Dad, I wish you were dead. I don't need you. I don't want you. All I want's your money." And so he takes his inheritance and he goes to a foreign land and he loses everything. And then after he's lost everything, he has to hire himself out to work on a farm feeding pigs. Pigs. This is a wealthy Jewish boy. He's feeding an animal he can't even eat. You can't blow it any worse than this. And yet look at the reception he got from his father. That's your Father. Undoubtedly, some of us watching this right now are in the position of the younger son. We are still in need of coming to our senses, of turning around. Perhaps some of us haven't been to confession in years. We're afraid, ashamed, don't think that God will forgive us. nonsense. God will always forgive us. He says to you right now, do not be afraid. You can come home. You can come home. He reminds us today that there has never been any saint who ever walked the earth, except for Mary, who didn't have a past. And undoubtedly, some of us watching right now are probably in the position of the older son. We stand in judgment on everybody else. We think they should have to suffer or pay or earn their forgiveness. And to us right now, the Father says, would you let me be God, please? No one earns anything. Least of all, Jesus' suffering and death on the cross. It's all a gift. Everything's a gift.